She is a software engineer, co-founder and CTO of Logicel, producers of G Kudi microfinance systems. She is also a cerebral palsy patient, but not asleep. Our guest for this week's Everyday People is Farida Nana Ifwa Beju.
Now, in my case, I was born with a blocked intestine. So when I was 2 days old, I had to be operated on. So by the time I came out of the incubator and they were able to apply the physiotherapy, it was too late. If I hadn't had these limitations, I probably would not be in this industry. I mean, who knows? I may even have become a hip life artist or something. But then, because of these limitations, I had a problem with my handwriting. So I started using computers at a very early age. I actually started using the manual typewriter to type letters, but I could not write very legibly. So from the manual typewriter, I graduated to an electric typewriter. Then I graduated to a computer. Now, when I started using the computer, I realized that I enjoyed it. So I thought, why not? I mean, at least I don't have to write with it. So it was more a profession chosen because of my limitation. But then luckily for me, I found that I had a knack for it and I enjoy what I do. You know I have a condition. I didn't know I have a condition. That is what is encouraging me. I see myself as somebody who I cannot do certain things you cannot do, but you also cannot do certain things I cannot do. So when you look at it that way, then you realize that there's nothing really wrong with you. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. My weaknesses are more visible. Yours are not. So when you look at it that way, then you realize that there's really nothing wrong with anybody with a disability. It's just that at the end of the day, our weaknesses are visible. We started this company, Logicel, in response to a gap in the market. That gap was the gap of microfinance software that suited the needs of the industry in the country. My partner, Derek Denchi, and I were working with a microfinance company. We got a foreign software that did not suit the needs of the local industry. So I am a software developer with almost 20 years experience in the software industry in Ghana. So I came up with the concept that we can do something better than what you have, which is very expensive, and it did not suit what the microfinance company needed. It is my desire that no matter who you are, whether you have a disability or not, when you see what I have achieved, you realize that you can achieve it and achieve even more than I have. I mean, the sky is your limit. The only thing limiting you is your mind. And if you are able to break through those barriers of containment that you have put your mind in, I'm sure there's nothing that you can't do. It is more of a book to change the perception on people with disabilities. I wanted to let society know that they're just like everybody else. We have the same emotions, the same needs, the same one that everybody has. So I wrote a book so that at least anybody who reads the book will realize the mindset of somebody with a disability. Miracles are gotten every day, we just don't appreciate them. So we have to read the power of the miracles. When we read the power of the miracles, then we realize that when you wake up in the morning, it's a miracle. When you're able to get out of bed and put your foot down and stand up, it's a miracle. So everything that you do, you shouldn't take it for granted.
Well, so I'm here with Farida Bedre. You saw a documentary on her, and she's here in studio. And I'm also joined by Hannah Awaji. She's the head of Special Mothers Project. But to add, Farida is also the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Logicel. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Farida, how are you doing?
Very well, thank
And yourself, Hannah?
I'm great.
Great. So we're talking about pushing an agenda for inclusive education for people with cerebral palsy. But I'd like to start with you, Farida, concerning your personal experience. You were telling me something interesting, that your schooling was not so much of a private one where everything was made just for your specification. But how easy was that for you going to a public school in Ghana?
Fortunately for me, I had a good foundation. I was homeschooled by my mother until I was 12. So by the time I was 12, I went straight into JSS1. And it wasn't that difficult. I remember my first day in school. I went to a school called Cambridge JSS in Kolegono. Yes. And I went into the classroom, and the teacher told my classmates that this is Farida. She needs help. Help her. And that was it. So I got such really good friends there who were all willing to assist. I mean, so when I wanted to go to the bathroom, they would hold my hand, take me to the place. And back then, we did not have a toilet. So you know the communal toilet where you have to squat. And I had to do things that I had never done before.
Right.
But it was quite interesting, and academically I was already strong. So getting into the whole thing wasn't difficult
for you.
It wasn't difficult for me. The only thing that I had problems with were my handwriting, because of my jerky movement. Right. So what happened was the teachers just had to take more time to read the handwriting, and that was it. So for me, I always say that all it takes is a willing head teacher to take the extra effort, to make that extra effort to help to include the child. It doesn't take that much to push the agenda. And obviously, at the time I could walk, but I needed help. So although it was not accessible, totally accessible, I was still able to manage, because it wasn't on a story building or anything. All my classrooms were on the ground floor, and that helped a lot. Yeah.
Very well, but you also talk about infrastructure, because for you, fortunately, all the classrooms were on the ground floor. But in a situation where people are enrolled in schools, because we want the inclusive education, so looking at it where a child joins a school where the JSS is on the upper floor, and that child is going to JSS, how, as it stands now, are we going to be capable of taking these children into the regular system?
No, we are not. We are not. And even the classes, even the schools where the classrooms are on the ground floor, there's always still a step to get into the classroom. So if the child is in a wheelchair, I don't know how they expect the child to be able to get into the classroom. Secondly, the doors are not wide enough to cater for the wheelchair. And those are little things that people do not consider when they are building a school. Because their main agenda is to build, let's say, 20 schools in a community. So they are in a hurry to
just build it.
So without taking into consideration these little things that will make the difference between whether a child with CP or any other disability gets in the school or not.
You know, you mentioned also a willing head teacher, but as it stands now in the policy, because Hannah has spoken about the policy before, and in it seems like the policy itself restricts even the teacher who may have the desire, but they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have GES backing them to even admit these students at an appropriate age. What for you, Hannah?
Talking about willingness, I'll just share a story of a mother whose child has cerebral palsy, and this child walks, this child talks. When she's walking, you know that she has cerebral palsy, and she talks. She was in a school, a very prestigious school in Accra here, and her only problem is writing. When she holds the pencil, it takes a very long time, and she shakes, so they are not able to. The teacher maltreated this girl so much that the mother had to force the child out. When I met them, the child has stayed home for 3 years without going to school. Something as simple as handwriting. And that's what I ask. Why do we judge our children based on something like handwriting? Because she is not writing the way everybody writes, so she is not intelligent. And this is a very intelligent girl. So willingness, understanding that this is a condition. I mean, who thought maybe, for instance, if we had seen Farida at 12 years, who would have thought that, okay, Farida will be the Faridas of today, who is inspiring me to go on with my daughter. But here is a society that writes people off. Oh, she cannot walk, so we can't, what is she going to do in life? You know, those kind of mentalities need to be taken off teachers and head teachers' mind. That every child is possible, every child has capabilities, and every child can be developed into something that will help enhance our society. So those are the things that we need to look at.
Farida, I'll come back to you because you started school at a later age, and so you had some homeschooling prior to that. Do you think the narrative would have been different if you had to start school from a younger age?
Probably, especially in Ghana. I don't know what would have happened. I always say that I was blessed that I had the privilege of being homeschooled, having the one-on-one attention from my mother, who was my teacher in that regard. So I had a very good foundation. So academically, I could compete. So there was no question of them sucking me because I wasn't up to scratch academically. And this was way back in 1992, before the inclusive education policy and all those things came into play. But I think like I said earlier, it just takes a willing head teacher. And I had 2 willing head teachers who I'm forever grateful to, because back then it's not like now where there is more awareness of cerebral palsy and other disabilities and all those things. We are talking about the early 90s. I don't know whether you remember what Ghana was like in the early 90s. Exactly, I mean, we had a lot of problems back then, but I don't know. They just took that risk and made it happen. And made it happen. And the strange thing is that when I was going to school, it was mainly for me to be able to interact with other children. I wasn't really expected to excel that much or anything. But my mom just said that, look, you have been in the house for a long time. You don't have friends of your own. Your sister is your only real friend. It's about time you got out and learned how to be socially inclined to meet other children. So that was the reason why
you were pushed into school.
I was pushed into school. And I say that, I mean, it was possible in a government school. In a government school, in a deprived area, like Kolegono. I was in Kolegono for 1 year. Then I went to Kanesha Udome 1 JSS for the next 2 years. Then I went to BC.
Class. You know, and this was 1992. And so for me, the question is, even in 1992, it was possible for Farida. So why is it 10 years, many more years down the line, we seem to be struggling to get this inclusive education policy to work?
Okay, so what in Farida's case, I can say that the only difference And I always say her mother is a hero. I mean, I used to go look for their videos and just watch their KSM interview and everything. But, you know, if a mother has a time and everything to spend with a child, it works. I mean, that is I wish that I could stay home and just dedicate my life to my daughter and help her. But I can't afford that. I need to earn an income. I need to earn a living. I need to contribute to my home. So that is where I have a problem. You know, I really wish that I could spend time, because all those who have spent time with their children, I've seen results. I recently met a mother, Gifty, who has spent her life. She used to work and resigned and spent her life with her daughter. Her daughter is working, and she's an inspiration to me. You know, you wish that you could spend one-on-one time, because that is what they need.
Yes.
Children with cerebral palsy need a lot of attention. They are high needs. But in a case where you can't earn anything and you need to go out and fend for yourself, that is where you need help with your child, so that at least your child is catered for within some hours for you to also turn yourself around and come back. That's where we have the challenge.
Very well. But this interview, I must tell you, that is sponsored by Star Ghana, UK Aid, Danida, and EU. But we're joined here by Mr. Jerry Budu. He's Research Planning Officer at the Special Education Unit of GES. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
So let's come to you, because you are with GES and you are with the Research and Planning Unit for Special Education. We are campaigning for inclusive education for children with cerebral palsy. The policy has been in place for 10 years, but nothing seems to actually have been done about it. What's your view on this?
Thank you, and I must apologize for coming late. I had some flat tire on the way. That's what. Well, I think that when we're talking about children with cerebral palsy, for me, I would like us to look at the context. We are not talking about children with cerebral palsy alone. As education, and as for that matter, the special education, we are looking at children with special needs, including disabilities. So it's a wide spectrum of children. Cerebral palsy is part of it.
Before you go on, I'd like to put that in, because yes, it seems some aspect of special children have been catered for more than others. Is this the reality?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Just last Monday, I was at Ashoma Basic School. This was a child with cerebral palsy. The parents think that the child could not be supported. But with the support of the special education needs officer, the child is in the school. The boy is now in class 4. And could you believe, one of the teachers, this boy did something fantastic. One of the teachers was, I think, due for some promotion, that kind of thing. So when the officers came to look at the work of the teacher, after teaching, the teacher wanted somebody to point to a banana in the classroom. The whole classroom was quiet. It was this boy with cerebral palsy got up, limping, walking, just picked the stick and then pointed it. It was so fantastic. So it raised a lot of awareness. Oh, come on. Look at this boy in this classroom. Nobody was giving him a dime that he could perform this way. But the boy is so fantastic. And that elevated. And so now all the teachers, the focus is on this child. This boy can learn. This boy can do better, even than the so-called, let me say, regular children that we are talking about. So for us to say that maybe some people have been taking care of others, no, I must say no. That is not the case. We are trying as much as possible to bring everybody on board. After all, the essence of inclusive education is to ensure that there's equity and access for education for every child.
Mr. Budu, we hear you loud and clear, but don't you think, Mr. Bedu, sorry for that, don't you think it's taking longer than really should? Because if you and I probably were in the shoes, would understand the frustration these mothers and persons who live with CP go through.
Madam, we know. We know, and we don't shy away from that. We know what they are going through. It's real painful. When you need support, you don't get the needed support that you have need of. But then, I must say also that you require a lot of resources, both human, financial, physical resources, infrastructure-wise. But look at our infrastructures in the school. We won't say that they are up to date. No, we are still trying as much as we can to ensure that children with disability and special needs, at least they have access to our classroom. They have access to teaching and learning material that we adapted and modified to their special needs.
But Mr. Bedu, we can't say until that is done, these children should be at home. So in the meantime, what is government doing to support them? Because like the Special Mothers Project, the appeal they're making is that even some mothers could be taken into these schools to actually help with taking care of the children. And so if that is a challenge for GES, they've offered a solution.
Well, I wouldn't say that they've offered a solution.
Right.
But I think that their main concern is taking care of the children while they are in the school.
Right.
Because after all, the teachers cannot take care of certain things. Honestly, let's be practical about them. And we see where they are coming from. They want to be there and support the teacher, including the children feeding, that kind of thing. In fact, that is what they are trying to do. But then we also need to consider it, because after all, they wouldn't be there throughout the day just like that. They need to be fed. They must eat. They take transport from where they are, because most of them are not working. And because of their challenges, they have had difficulties in. Some of them are actually having marital challenges as a result of the children, you know, and we are considering all these things. So we think that we need a lot of dialogue, and then we also plead to other stakeholders to come in to support the service, because it's a collaboration. GES, and for that matter, special education, cannot do it all. UNICEF is supporting, and I will take this platform to appeal to other donors, philanthropists, NGOs to come and support the system. Because if the system is good, it's good for all of us, and we will stand to be beneficiaries of the system.
Very well. So guys, that's all time will afford us. But you heard it right from here. On New Day, we are taking this initiative to campaign for inclusive education for children with cerebral palsy. Again, this interview was supported by Star Ghana with funding from UK Aid, Danida, and EU. We'll be here with more on New Day. Stay right here with us.